Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. On this episode, John is hosting Nicola Duke, aka Nick Trades. I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, I'm excited. We have Nicola Duke here today with us. She's an expert veteran technician trader and personally one of my favorite educators on classical technical analysis. That said, let's get started. Nicola, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So you're in London, England, is that correct?
Yeah, I am. I'm in England. I used to live near London. A year ago, I moved out to the country, so trade from home now and loving it. So I'm out in the countryside, a bit further away from London, but still good.
Okay, great. Yeah. This morning you told me that you're feeding your chickens. You got a lot of animals there on your place, don't you?
I have. I got chickens and ducks and dogs and quite a lot of deer because we have quite a lot of woodland. So the deer eat everything else. So
you guys must be just ending summer there, right?
Yeah, summer's just about over, unfortunately. I think we've had our last warm day.
Oh no. Oh no, my sister's in London, England, so she's always talking to me about waiting for the warmer weather. So
winters are long.
So I did some digging up on you. You've got an interesting story. You were actually in the Royal Air Force, is that correct?
Yeah, my first that's what I did when I left school. My dad, I'm an army brat, so my dad, we traveled around a lot, and I always thought that the RAF guys were the cool ones, and I really wanted to be a pilot too. So I tried to, I did all the aptitude tests, and got through, but they weren't taking women at that time, so they offered me an air traffic control course in the meantime, which I did. So I became so I did the RAF college, became an officer, and then did air traffic control training. Always intending to kind of switch to being a pilot, but found out that I really loved air traffic control and stuck with it.
Whoa, wow. Okay.
So I did 6 years short service commission in the RAF, and then I went to the Civil Air Traffic Control College and got my civilian licenses, and then I went to Heathrow for a bit. So
that is
it was
really
fun
cool.
days.
Really
yeah.
Cool. I mean, I'm an avid aerospace enthusiast myself. We own a airplane restoration business that fixes World War II planes. So planes in the Air Force are my thing. So I think that is really, really cool that you were into all that.
Oh, those lovely old planes. When I was in the RAF, I worked with the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight and absolutely loved it. Still, even now, when I see them fly over, my heart skips a beat. So
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Great to hear. So let me ask you this. So how did you transition? Now, I can kind of understand from air traffic controller to working on charts, you're kind of seeing where all the planes go, and now you're doing that with charts. But how did you actually transition into trading from there?
Okay. Well, I suppose I always had an interest in the market. My mom always had stocks and shares, and we would follow the prices in the paper and make graphs. Sounds so embarrassing now, but yeah, because we didn't have computers or charts. You got the prices, you check the prices weekly, and so I kind of always, I always followed my mom doing that. And then when I got to Heathrow, a few years before I got there, an investment bank, had done an experiment to see if air traffic controllers would make good traders, and they took a whole bunch of them. And to be honest, most of them didn't, but only one made it, which was a woman, and she absolutely smashed it. And I was like, God, that could have been me. And I always had it in my head, God, I could have done. And of course, nobody ever came back and repeated the experiment, so it was never going to happen for me. But it was always in my head, that would be so cool. Yeah, so I had it in my head and decided, once when I left there, I went to Canada for a few years. I decided, I had some money and some time, and I thought, I met a guy. It's so funny, through a dating website. I met a guy who had ghostwritten a trading book for a Wall Street trader called Victor Sperendio, and he gave me his books, and it was basically how to learn how to trade books. So I learned how to trade from this book and started from there. And so I would, when I was living in Canada, I would get up at 7 in the morning at London time, which was 2 in the morning in Canada, and trade the London Open, and then have a few hours sleep and then work normally.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I did that for quite a few years before I transitioned and realized that I could, support myself trading. I think the longer you can do that, so that you're not actually living off what you do trading, the better, really. Because it is quite stressful once you do trade for a living, as everybody knows. So
yes, you gotta plan ahead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I did that, and I got really completely engrossed in technical analysis, and that led down one rabbit hole to another. And then I met some people, and I was lucky enough to get a couple of jobs, writing analysis. So I wrote, I did that for a few years for a firm that supplied all the analysis to hedge funds. And we sold them to a lot of hedge funds and banks. And then I got a job at one of those investment banks for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And doing, sort of macro stuff in a team, so that I wasn't there's in a team of 3. And then I went from there and worked at a currency hedge fund. This was right as like crypto was literally really exploding. And I was really into crypto, and I realized, we weren't allowed to trade anything that we traded. So anything we traded in the fund, so anything currency or gold or metals, we couldn't trade outside of work, but we could trade crypto because we didn't trade it at work. So I was trading crypto privately, and I was trading it as fun. I was making more money on the side trading a bit. So I thought, I should really just do this. And so when I did it, and so I left, and when I did it, I started a Facebook group, like a club. I thought, well, because it's trading on your fund. When you trade in a fund and you trade with other people, it's kind of a good collaborative feeling. So I thought I'll start a club, and I won't charge very much, and we'll just do it like that way and ride the markets together. So, and not realizing, I had no idea, I guess, how massive crypto was going to end up being, or how many people would join. So yeah, that's really how I got here where I am now.
Oh, wow.
And then
sounds like you've had a really
I missed a few little stories out, but obviously that's where I am.
Yeah. You've had actually an amazing story here. You've run down all the ranks. It looks like so I talk to people a lot about this, about the importance of finding a really good mentor right out the gate. And it sounds like you found that mentor in that guy in Canada. Is that correct? That was your first mentor?
No. In Canada. So in Canada, before people were all over Twitter, in 2008, there was no Twitter, but everybody was on trading forums then. There were a lot of really good trading forums. And so I just learning, and I was learning myself. And I met a guy on a trading forum, having no idea where we used to share like trading ideas. And, you didn't know, on these forums, people would have silly, just like on Twitter, people have silly pictures. You don't know who they are. And it turns out he was actually he worked at a huge hedge fund in London, Caxton's, and he really helped me. He said, listen, he sent me a message one day, and he pointed out a couple of things that I was really screwing up, and offered to help me. And I feel really grateful that he did, because I don't know that I would profit. It takes a lot of discipline, and somebody to keep you on the right track to become profitable. It's quite a journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. I can concur with that.
People think trading's, I have friends who don't trade. You say, how simple, how hard can it be? You buy it, it goes up, you sell it, but it's mentally, it's much harder than that.
Psychology is just another game. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
It's the hardest simple thing you'll ever do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think think if I never had a mentor, I'm not sure I would have overcame the emotional aspect of things, because he is the one that helped me whenever, we had big drawdowns or what have you, to not quit. A lot of times I wanted to quit and he kept me in it. So absolutely. Let me ask
mine
you.
Mine kept me exactly the same, off the emotional roller coaster, and helped me kind of flatten it all out. So if I would have, some days you can execute your plan perfectly, execute all your trades, you can do everything right and trade your system, and you just don't make money. The market behaving. And he would say on days like that, he would go out and reward yourself because you've done everything right. And then sometimes you won't do everything right, but yet by some miracle the market will reward you with money, and you shouldn't, really, you should learn, because discipline's I think that's the hardest thing for most people. So
I agree with you.
Emotions.
I see the same thing. I see that people will start a trade plan and they'll have a good game plan, but as soon as it goes through a little bit of a drawdown, they'll completely abandon that game plan and call it a failure.
Right.
And I think that people need to study a little bit of law of large numbers. But no, I really agree with you. My edge was that when we started out, it's funny, we actually started a group where we took both our funds and we put them into in one account, and then he would trade, and every morning I would go there, and within 1 month we were alternating trading days and he was watching over me. So if I have any advice for people out there, I mean, the more you can get your mentor to kind of unify with you like that, I mean, that was the key to me becoming who I am today. So I completely agree with you with mentors. Yeah.
And the thing about a mentor as well is and what you had is accountability, because I see people, they have this great plan, and, especially new traders, they'll have this great plan and they'll execute their trade, and then they'll have a wobble and they'll go, oh no, it won't work. It's not working. They'll fiddle with it, take it off, put it back on again, and they'll do it in chop zones. And that's the worst thing. And whereas if you have to be accountable to somebody, you have to stick to the plan, so you aren't going to be doing that stuff. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I really actually love your TA style. To me, it's just really classical. You go over a lot of things like fibs and Elliott waves, support and resistance. All these things are just really classical. Could you give us some insight just, into some of your favorite setups or just your style so the audience can get familiar with it?
To be quite honest, you could throw away, although I absolutely love fibs and Fibonacci patterns and wave counting, I think you could really throw all of that away. And if I could only have one thing on my chart, I would have moving averages, because I think they're such a simple, easy to follow indicator of trend. And so I would say that the 20 moving average is my best friend. I always try to be on the right side of it, no matter what time frame I'm on. And in a trend, I just keep trying to buy pullbacks towards a 20 moving average for the trend to continue till it doesn't. And that's really, in a nutshell, my basic trading strategy. And the 200 moving average on any time frame for me is the king of the chart, And if we go into a reversal, that's where I'm always looking for the market to go back to.
The most powerful moving average, the 200.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you, for example, I'll just get rid of that. For example, if you get a counter trend reversal, so if you've been in a long uptrend and it reverses, where are you looking for it to go back to? I'm always looking for it to go back to the 200 moving average. So yeah.
That's some great information. In fact, it's funny because a lot of things that you say, I resonate with. So one of my favorite books and the favorite people that I was fortunate to teach me was, you might know him. Have you heard of Stan Weinstein? He wrote a book.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have. I've probably read every trade. I've probably not every trade book cover to cover, but yes, no, like I have looked into a lot of traders. Yeah, I have.
Yes. How to Profit in Bull and Bear Markets. If you guys are listening, go pick
that's a very good book
up. It is brilliant, and it talks about moving averages in such length. I'm very, very big on moving averages. It's something that I actually have not talked about a lot, but even down to falling, and I'm sure you know this as well, but for those listening, it's also the slope of the moving average. A lot of people forget that, you know, I watch the slope as soon as it turns down or up. There's so many ways to use moving averages, and you can definitely trade profitably with just moving averages. I agree with you 100%.
And a flat moving average means you haven't got any trend. You've got a range. So trade the range, definitely. And the other, what I was just gonna, if you have, that's how I use moving averages. And when your moving averages flatten out, you look for a range, and that's when people get chopped up. But
yes,
very helpful.
So
they've done a lot of studies, and trend following strategies like moving averages are by far the most profitable that they have. And so many other indicators that I see other people use are based on moving averages. So Bollinger Bands are based on moving averages. Ichimoku Cloud is moving averages. So,
Yeah, my favorite technician of all time is Mr. John Bollinger. I talked to him quite a bit. He's my favorite guy and such a nice man, such a
Isn't
gentleman.
he so approachable and helpful?
The best.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Let's hit on some market topics. Let's go over the three markets that everyone's talking about. We got the SPX stocks, we got crypto, and everyone and all the gold bugs are driving me crazy talking about gold. Let me ask you this. Let's start off with this. We got the elections coming up.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account.
What's your outlook on the election if either one wins and here in the United States? It's a loaded question, isn't it?
Okay, I you know what? You can lose so many. I honestly I don't even like talking about politics because it's so easy to offend people. I would say that I think that there are a lot of people in the market getting a little bit concerned about a Biden win and tax hikes and
yes,
whilst it might be good for a lot of other people, I'm not sure that the market's terribly keen on a Biden win, and I'm not sure that all of this sell-off is COVID either, because they seem to me to be quite close in the polls. So I'm not going to predict who's going to win.
That's a great point. That's a great point that it might actually be the election as well as, and you know what? I never even thought of that.
And which is weird because normally if the economy is doing well going into election, normally you would see stock indexes look really strong all the way into the election. And I have to say, even with this week's sell-off, for me, like we're still a little bit, not terribly bearish yet. I think we're pretty close to levels where it could snowball into a bigger move, but not quite yet.
Now you called that pretty well. I actually watched your video 3 days ago, and you did call for some temporary downside action here in the SPX, and that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we saw. So so let me ask you this. Let's move on to crypto. In my opinion, I've been watching the NASDAQ and the crypto correlations.
They're so correlated, aren't they?
No, and then you got the dollar too. So what do you think about that with the dollar and the SPX? What are you watching as far as correlation?
Okay, I'm watching the dollar. To be honest, I think the dollar is a bigger factor, and for me, this dollar's had a little bit of a rally just only the last couple of days at a really crucial level, and at the moment it looks like the rally is corrective, which means more downside for the dollar, more upside for stocks, and so on. But I'm not 100% sure yet. So, and it's exactly the same with these stock indexes, especially the American stock indexes. They're right on that kind of bull bear line. If we go any lower from here, we're going to roll over into a bigger correction. But it feels like we've done the move down on Monday, and we're kind of back and fill sideways, until the end of the week. So it's not clear yet to me.
It's kind of in that gray
You
zone.
put if you put a gun to my head, I think there's going to be about some more downside to come, but I don't know. They still look really strong to me.
Yeah. You know, I want to thank you, Nicola. There's not many people that will do, they're scared to do forecasts or do any kind of prediction models, right? Because as we know, no one can forecast the future. So it's really great to.
It's really,
yeah.
well, I usually try it on a Monday night. I do, what I do on a Monday night, I do every day in my group twice a day. But we every day we say, okay, this is where we're wrong, and this is where it's going to keep going the other way. And if you do that, if you it's just like when you have a trading plan, or you know where you're wrong. That's the first thing to know. Where's your risk? So.
That's what Bollinger says. You should have a clear spot on your chart that literally tells you you're wrong.
Yeah.
Move on. So let me ask you this. Let's touch on this gold market. This gold market, the gold bugs this year. And I'll tell you, I got into precious metals, and I think it was late March, right when the bottom hit. And I think I was in it for about a month, and then I got out, and I was regretting that. But all these gold bugs are saying that this is the start of a multi-year bull market and just a little bit of a pullback. What are your thoughts on gold?
There's two schools of thought, and if you go to the Elliott Wave Institute or Precta or those guys, they say that we've just finished this, so that the whole rally from the March 2016 low was a B leg in a big ABC. Mm-hmm. So in other words, the high that we made in 2011, if you look at a monthly chart of gold, the high to the low that we made from 2011 down to 2016 was an A leg correction. We've just done an irregular B leg, where we made a marginal new high, and now we're going to do another leg down in gold, down to sort of 1200s. I know it's quite.
Are you a buyer? Are you a buyer at all, Nick?
Now that's their view. I can see this both ways. For me, on every time frame, this is a really bullish market, and at the moment, this is just a pullback. This is not that ABC correction. So now you say, okay, where's the level where I'm wrong? Well, for me, it's 1832 in gold dollar. So if we have a weekly or monthly close under 1832, I think that then there's a good chance that those Elliott Wave people are right, and we will see a much bigger correction in gold. And if we can hold that sort of 1830 level and rally from there, then the uptrend continues. But it's been a really strong one-way move, and especially since the March COVID scare, I feel like everybody piled into the same trade. So everybody saw the Fed printing money. Everybody said, buy stocks, buy gold, fiat currencies are worthless. And so whatever you think about gold, and it should be really good in these conditions, like gold should be flying. I just think it's not, because it's crowded. It's a crowded trade.
Makes sense.
And I don't think Bitcoin's a crowded trade. So I think that if we are going to turn and go higher from here in gold, and gold's a really good leading indicator. If you look, the high that gold made was 2 weeks before the high that we made in Bitcoin and before the high that we made in stock indexes. So it's a really good leading indicator at the moment. I think if we can get a bottom soon in gold around this 1830 level, that would be a really good sign too.
Well, there you have it, gold bugs. You got to watch that 1832 level from Nicola here. That's what she recommends. So, Nicola, let me ask you this. Let's hit on your YouTube channel on Monday nights, what everyone watches. I do watch now and then. I love it. Tell us more about that and what you got going on there.
Oh, I just, I'm really quite shy. And it took a lot of persuading for me to start doing that. But, I used to put just like clips on, clips on Twitter, and I thought, I'll just do a longer one. I remember I remember I used to watch a guy on Sunday nights called, in fact, I'm thinking about doing FX and futures and the other markets on a Sunday night, because I used to watch a guy religiously on a Sunday night, a guy called 50 Pips, and it always felt like it set me up for the week. So I don't mind doing it. You know, I'm really lucky. I don't seem to have many trolls or haters. And so,
You're very
yeah,
much
no,
like
just share really. So, yeah, I try to treat everybody, as I would want to be treated. So I seem to be quite lucky. I see so many people complain about social media, but you get out what you get back what you put out. So
I love it. I love it. I've been such a quiet trader for so long that me getting on Twitter, and I mean, I can't explain it to you. Having a passion and not being able to share it with people, and then all of a sudden you have hundreds of people to talk to about it every day.
Exactly.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that once you mentioned that you did kind of dabble in options at one point, and that is my personal wheelhouse. I do believe that every trader should have some exposure to option trading, or some aspect of at least how to hedge yourself with options and put options. And that said, what's your opinion and what's your take on options?
Yeah, I think options are fantastic. They're a great way to hedge. They're a great way to trade on their own. They're a really useful skill for traders to learn. And I think everybody should try and learn a little bit about them. I've done, a bunch of courses. I think that selling options is a really safer way for a lot of traders to make money, but for most people with a really small account, it's not really appropriate. That's the problem. So, and most people learn to trade with really small accounts, but I think that they should, once they build up a bit, learn. And I've done all sorts. I've learned, for people, especially if you want to trade US stocks, and if you want to day trade US stocks in America, you have to have a $25,000 account. Now, not everybody in America has got one of those,
right?
But you can day trade stock options, and you don't have, if you're not using leverage, you don't need £25,000. So you know what? Learn to trade options, because if you want to start at the bottom with a small account, that's a great way to do it. That limit doesn't apply. So,
well, that's
a tip for people in America.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, that'll help us out a lot. I'll get a little excited about options.
I know nobody listening to us is trading stocks, but
I know. We get the side attention, but it's okay. So let me ask you this. Let's wind down here, and this is a good question to wind down. If you had to give up trading and educating tomorrow, what do you think that you would like to do instead? What would you try to do?
I don't think I could get out of bed. It really is my passion. That's so bad to say that, isn't it? No, I'd probably, just potter with around, I've made it so I like the rest of my life. And, I would just carry on doing the other things that I do. I like my animals and swimming, and I don't know what I would do. I suppose I'm a bit older, so I'm not really looking for a new career. So
yeah, the last person to ask me that.
So if I was 20, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to buy a boat and travel around the world. I probably would. If I was 20 or 30, I'd buy a boat and travel around the world.
Travel the world. Yeah, I didn't have an answer to that one either. I love trading. Last time somebody asked me, I told them that I would probably try and start a nonprofit dog rescue shelter. Is probably what I would.
Oh,
I think that would be lovely.
Damn! Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, that's a
good answer, right?
The thing is, though, I probably wouldn't be able to let anyone have the dogs. I would end up keeping them all.
Right. So keep them all.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. How can people best engage? How can the audience best engage with you? I know that you've got that YouTube. I know that you've got an Instagram. Tell us where all we can find you.
Just mainly on Twitter, or mainly on Twitter. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's Instagram. I'm kind of just getting used to Instagram. But yeah, my favorite place, I suppose, is Twitter. And I need to stop, stay away from politics. It's starting to get really hot, isn't it? And I need to go back to just crypto. Yeah, Twitter and YouTube on a Monday night. And yeah, if you look at other markets, I'm thinking about starting a Sunday night for other markets.
Please do, Nicola.
Okay.
I'll definitely be a watcher. So please start that Sunday night Forex show up for us.
Cool. All right then.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and I want to ask you. Let's close off with this. Do you have any words of wisdom for our fellow traders and crypto investors as they approach these markets going forward? Just closing off.
Yeah, I do have. First off, I have to take my hat off to most crypto investors because when we started, it was really quite easy, wasn't it, to open an account and learn how to trade. And for these guys that start in crypto, I think it's a nightmare. It's so difficult, so much harder than we had it. Just how to buy it and how to open and these exchanges, and then the order types, they're so much harder and clunkier than the exchanges we started on. So I take my hat off to all of you who are doing it. Well done. First of all, I would say that the time when most traders lose most money is when the market is choppy and going sideways. And markets don't have two directions, up or down. They have three. They go up, they go down, and they go sideways. And if you can learn to recognize when they're going sideways and take a step back and let it play out its sideways stuff to see where it's going next, you will save yourself so much pain and money. So that's my number one tip. The market has three directions.
What great advice. Nicola Duke, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've really, really enjoyed my time with you.
Oh, it's been lovely. Thank you so much, John.
Appreciate it. To everyone listening, thank you as well for joining. You can follow me at 0hedge_ on Twitter, or come join our Discord community where we teach options for free and offer some custom trading indicators. You guys take care, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and Forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.